They burned our stars, and we decided to strike back by building a black hole right in their home. The whole nightmare began when humanity first set its sights on a fresh start in the Andromeda galaxy. Our original home, Earth, was getting crowded and complicated, and we believed it was time to look beyond our neighborhood. At first, the mission was practically a dream come true for one of our brightest scientists, Dr. Elara Voss. She was an astrophysicist who thought big, talked big, and inspired everyone around her. She had spent years working on alien-derived technology that could harness the power of stars. We called them stellar cores, gleaming reactors rumored to be gifts from a mysterious ally known only as the voice of the void. Dr. Voss believed in these devices. She believed in them so much that she convinced others to invest huge sums of resources, time, and hope into them. Commander Kael Jarek, on the other hand, was the classic military hero type. He started out all disciplined and focused, the kind of person who's always up at dawn to train a squad. He had lost people in battles before, so he knew the pain of watching friends die. Even so, he never let it break his composure, at least not at first. If Dr. Voss was the optimism of our new frontier, Jarek was the caution that kept it safe. He didn't trust easily. He believed in vigilance. He believed that for every new friend or ally out there in space, there might be 10 enemies lurking in the shadows. Taryn Ren was the voice of empathy among them. A former diplomat from Earth, Taryn was there to make sure we built bridges with other species, not just walls. Taryn had grown up reading stories about first contact gone wrong, humanity's mistakes, misunderstandings, and paranoia. So when Taryn was given the job of establishing cultural exchanges with the alien races near our colony, there was nothing but excitement and optimism. The plan was to share art, language, and maybe small technologies. Taryn believed wholeheartedly that true peace only comes from understanding one another. People called Taryn idealistic. Taryn smiled and took that as a compliment. For a while, it seemed like everything worked. The Prometheus fleet carried colonists to Andromeda, and they began constructing the first city on a distant planet with the help of the stellar cores. Dr. Voss was beaming with pride. She made sure every reactor was calibrated, stable, and efficient. It felt like, at long last, humanity had stepped into a new age of endless energy. We had star power in our hands, thanks to that precious alien tech. Commander Jarek, meanwhile, trained the colonists in self-defense. He set up drills, had them practice with emergency protocols, and taught them all to shoot in case the day came when the peace ended. Taryn Ren, in the meantime, organized get-togethers with friendly alien neighbors, shared meals, cultural ceremonies, you name it. Everything was about open arms and good vibes. Then, out of nowhere, we discovered the hidden face of the voice of the void. This alien hive-mind wasn't our friend. It had never been on our side. It had given us these stellar core reactors not out of generosity, but out of some twisted cosmic plan. One moment, Dr. Voss was celebrating with her team, watching the entire city light up under shimmering towers powered by what we thought was safe, near-limitless energy. The next moment, alarms started screaming. One of the cores exploded, unleashing a shockwave that rippled across the colony. And that was just the beginning. Core after core went critical. Supernovas started flaring up in systems where we'd installed them. Out of the millions of colonists scattered across multiple planets, over 90% died in a matter of hours. Commander Jarek's fleet tried to scramble to respond, but half his ships were torn apart in the blasts. He lost friends, colleagues, and, worst of all, he lost contact with his family. Taryn Ren was on a diplomatic mission when the sky caught fire and turned to molten ash. Taryn watched an entire settlement vanish in a flash, powerless to save anyone. The heartbreak and shock that swept across all survivors in those moments was enough to shatter even the toughest spirits. They called it the Great Betrayal. When we finally realized that the voice of the void was using us to purify the galaxy by tricking us into placing these bombs in our own worlds. In their twisted logic, we humans were a chaotic species that needed to be cleansed. Now, with our numbers decimated and hope shattered, our once proud colonists were barely clinging to life on a crippled warship. That warship became our new headquarters, a floating shell with flickering lights and half-broken systems. Dr. Voss locked herself away in a lab, going through every piece of data she had. She had to learn exactly how the alien technology had turned on us. She eventually discovered evidence that each stellar core carried a hidden design flaw, one that could be triggered at will by the voice. This was planned from day one. The guilt chewed at her from the inside out because she had been the one so eager to use that alien tech for the good of humanity. She questioned everything she believed in: her mission, her intelligence, her moral compass. Commander Jarek was absolutely furious. When he finally took off his scorched uniform and looked at the remains of his once formidable fleet, he felt a rage that he had never known. His calm military discipline cracked. He vowed to wipe out the Voice's entire civilization. He didn't just want them gone. He wanted every trace of their existence erased so that not even their children or their memory would remain. Nobody recognized him anymore. He barked orders, turned every conversation into a lecture on retaliation, and refused to shed a single tear. Some said he'd lost his soul in the initial blast. Others thought that maybe this is who he'd been all along. Taryn, still reeling from watching innocent people vaporize, clung to the belief that vengeance on such a massive scale would cost us our humanity. At first, Taryn tried to rally the survivors to push for a more peaceful solution, but it was clear that so many had lost too much. Peace sounded weak to them now. Taryn felt completely alone, stuck between a sense of justice for the fallen and a fear that we'd turn into something just as monstrous as the voice of the Void Doctor. Voss and Commander Jarek held private meetings. He wanted a superweapon, something that would do more than just blow up a planet. He wanted to break the alien empire from the inside out. Dr. Voss wasn't on board initially. The idea of mass destruction on that level horrified her. But the more she blamed herself for the genocide, the more she believed that a swift, punishing strike might be the only way to stop the Voice. In her twisted guilt, she somehow convinced herself that this might be a way to redeem her past mistakes. If she used her own knowledge to bring down the ones who caused so much pain, maybe in her mind, it would set things right. And so, in a dark corner of the battered warship, a small team huddled over diagrams, star charts, and the last remaining stellar core. Dr. Voss laid it all out. If we trigger the core differently, she said, we can create a localized singularity. We can basically build a black hole. The plan was as brilliant as it was horrifying. By placing the core in the right position near the Voice's home system, they could collapse the entire region into a singularity, essentially swallowing their civilization. Jarek's eyes lit up with a grim satisfaction. Taryn, on the other hand, felt sick. A black hole wouldn't just destroy their military forces. It could kill innocent aliens, entire ecosystems, worlds that had nothing to do with the betrayal. But the survivors, riled up by Jarek's speeches, accepted the plan. They were ready to do anything to ensure that the Voice would never again threaten human life. Taryn was torn between heartbreak and moral duty. Even if the Voice had orchestrated genocide, not every member of its species had personally carried it out. Some might have been just as trapped by the hive-mind's control. Despite this, Taryn was shouted down in most arguments. Dr. Voss agreed with Jarek to go forward with the black hole plan. The point of no return was SET.TO pull off this mission. They needed to infiltrate the alien home system. This was easier said than done. The Voice might have lured us to our destruction once, but it didn't expect survivors to sneak back in. Jarek commanded what was left of his troops to rig the battered warship for stealth, jamming signals and running silent. Dr. Voss worked non-stop to reprogram the core, refining the calculations needed to trigger a stable black hole. Taryn tried to talk reason into them at every step, but no one was willing to listen. The lust for vengeance was like a fever. If there was any thought about saving alien civilians, it was overshadowed by the hunger to strike back. Taryn oversaw the construction of a new settlement, a place where alien refugees could live alongside humans who believed in reconciliation. It wasn't easy. The refugees had lost families, friends, and homes too. Many of them still couldn't trust humans after seeing what we had done with the black hole. But step by step, they found reasons to keep going. Taryn encouraged them. We have to try to be better, to be more than just survivors. We have to be caretakers of each other's pain. As for Dr. Voss, she withdrew from public life entirely. She was offered awards and prestige, yet she refused them all. Some rumored she was working on a new type of technology, something meant to help rebuild the planets we had once hoped to settle. Others said she was secretly engineering a next-level defense system, convinced that bigger threats were coming. A few believed she was trying to atone by studying ways to reverse black hole damage, though most said that was impossible. What was certain is that she was haunted by the moral weight of her actions. She had once been an idealistic pioneer, excited to spread humanity's light across the cosmos. Now, she was a person who had used that light to forge a destructive darkness. Time passed, but the story of how we turned the tables remained raw. People still argued about whether that final strike was justified. Some said it was the only way to protect ourselves from an enemy bent on extermination. Others insisted there had to have been a different path, one that didn't involve killing billions, including many who hadn't personally fired a single shot against us. The debate raged on, fueling endless discussions about morality, survival, and the cost of vengeance. History books labeled it humanity's darkest victory. All the while, an unspoken ripple moved through the stars. We had shown the universe that we weren't to be trifled with. But by using a black hole so close to the Voice's home system, we might have sent out signals that traveled much farther and deeper than we ever intended. Some said they had detected faint echoes on deep space scanners, patterns that didn't match anything known. Others said the black hole's collapse might have awakened ancient cosmic entities that see feuds like ours as mere child's play. If so, then the real battle might still be ahead. Back on Earth, Taryn sat in a newly built garden. The alien refugees had helped plant seeds from their homeworld, small flowers that glowed at night under Earth's moonlight. People from both species sat quietly together, touching the soil, watching life take root. For the first time in months, there was a sense of fragile peace. Taryn whispered words of thanks that some justice had been served, but also words of sorrow that it had come at such a steep cost. Taryn was determined to preserve what little compassion remained in us, to make sure we wouldn't become the next unstoppable conquerors. Night after night, the tragedy replayed in the minds of those who lived through it. Commander Jarek's sacrifice was turned into a legend, a cautionary tale about how rage can save or damn us. Dr. Voss's genius was both celebrated and feared. People admired her brilliance, but also worried what might happen if she set her mind on something even more extreme next time. Taryn's efforts to build bridges with alien survivors became a quiet beacon of hope, a subtle reminder that we don't have to answer violence with more violence. But we had, of course, answered with unimaginable violence when push came to shove. And the galaxy had seen it. That final message Dr. Voss broadcasted, about not being someone's entropy but being their reckoning, lingered in the cosmic static. We never knew who might hear it next. Maybe it would keep potential threats away. Maybe it would draw them closer out of fear or curiosity. Only time would tell. Still, we survived. And we came out changed. People no longer looked at the stars with pure wonder. There was always a twinge of caution, a realization that for every beautiful galaxy out there might be a monstrous intelligence waiting to twist our hopes into weapons. But there was also the faint possibility that out there somewhere were beings who might become true friends, who might see the darkness we carry and help us overcome it, or at least lessen it. If nothing else, our story reminds us that victory can sometimes be as devastating as defeat. We set out to build shining colonies among the stars, only to find ourselves forging a black hole that consumed entire worlds. We thought we had found an ally in the voice of the void, but it was an enemy that believed we were too chaotic to exist. In fighting back, maybe we showed our worst side. Or maybe we showed the universe that we wouldn't be easy to erase. By the time the dust settled, cosmic dust, in this case, humanity had a new reputation. Some survivors still tried to cling to that original dream of exploration, discovery, and peaceful coexistence. Taryn became the face of that dream, working with those alien refugees to prove we aren't all bloodthirsty. Dr. Voss became the opposite face, a reminder that you can be both a genius savior and a destroyer at the same time. And Jarek, whose name would be carved into monuments for centuries, became the symbol of the line between heroism and obsession. Our species had lost homes, families, and billions of lives. Yet we were still standing. We had, in many ways, been forced to grow up as an interstellar civilization. We learned that trust needs to be earned, that we must look deeper into the gifts we're given. And we realized that cosmic powers like black holes aren't just wonders to study. They can be turned into doomsday devices if we're desperate enough. And so here we are, telling our story to whoever chooses to listen. Maybe you're hearing this in a future time, or maybe you're an alien race tuning in to figure out who we are. If you're listening, understand this. We know the shadows in ourselves, and we're trying our best to rise above them. We're not always the noble explorers we wish we were. We're flawed, we're dangerous when cornered, and we carry a deep well of rage when we've been wronged. But we also have people like Taryn who risk their own safety to give refugees a chance at life. We have those like Dr. Voss, whose regret might fuel the next great invention, maybe one that helps instead of harms. And we have the memory of Jarek, who showed us both the power and the peril of letting revenge guide our hand. Some days, we'll be proud of what we've built. Other days, we'll see the ghosts of worlds we destroyed in our nightmares. It's a constant push and pull. Hope, betrayal, vengeance, and the faint flicker of redemption. Maybe it's the only way we humans know how to move forward, stumbling through grand mistakes, paying a hefty price, then trying to reclaim our better nature at the last moment. They burned our stars, so we forged a black hole. We got our vengeance, but we also lost pieces of ourselves in the process. And now, we wait for whatever comes next, our eyes on the endless night, never fully sure if our actions saved us or just delayed an even greater threat. One thing is certain, though, we're still here, alive, and reaching for a future that might be worth the weight of all this pain. The galaxy has taken note of us, for better or worse. And in the quiet hum of the warship corridors and the gentle lights of newly planted alien flowers, we remember the moment we teetered on the edge of annihilation, and how, in our darkest hour, we chose to become the thing that even the voice of the void feared. That's the line we walk now. Protectors, destroyers, survivors, or something in between. Our story is far from over, and you, wherever you are, might just be part of the next chapter. Let's hope that, next time, we don't need a black hole to make our stand. Because once you've harnessed that kind of darkness, it's hard not to wonder if, one day, it might harness you back. You can replace this text with any text you wish. You can either write in this text box or paste your own text here. Try different languages and voices. Change the speed and the pitch of the voice. You can even tweak the SML, speech synthesis markup language, to control how the different sections of the text sound. Click on SSML above to give it a try. Enjoy using text-to-speech.